Hey guys, this is Dharmendra Keshri. In this session, I'll discuss data access control using item permissions in Microsoft Fabric. In my previous video, I discussed in a great detail the data access control using workspace roles, which provide pre-configured permissions for users or groups at the workspace level. Now we will explore item permissions in the data access control security hierarchy. But first, let's understand why do we even need item level permissions in Microsoft Fabric? Imagine this scenario, you have users or groups that require specific permissions on one or more items, but you don't want to grant them entire workspace level access. This is where item level permissions come into play. With item permissions, you have the flexibility to tailor access for individual items, granting or restricting access to specific users or groups. Now we will dive into the methods available for assigning item permissions within Microsoft Fabric. To grasp these methods effectively, I will be taking example of KQL item to explain it. The initial method for granting item permission involves utilizing the share button. Once you click on the share option, it will prompt the create and send link dialog to choose the option people in your organization can view. After selecting this option, you will be able to see select permissions dialog. It will allow you to specify the audience and choose the permission you want to grant for the item which you are about to share. Now, if you click on these three dots, it will provide the manage permissions option. In order to see this manage permissions option, you need to have workspace roles permissions like admin, member, or contributor at the workspace level. Now, the next immediate question comes into the mind whether we can also see this manage permissions option with item level permissions or not. The answer is yes, but it is important to note that you can only see this option with share and edit item permissions. Now, once you click on this manage permissions option, it will take you to the direct access page. This page offers the second method for directly granting item permissions. On this page, we can see two options, links and direct access. Before discussing them, let's first examine which Fabric items, as of today, support these manage permissions option, links and direct access. We can see most of the Fabric items support both options, except for Data Warehouse, Lakehouse, and SQL Analytics endpoint, which exclusively support direct access. In contrast, options like Data Pipeline and Reflex do not support these options because these items cannot be shared with users or groups. Now let's understand the purpose of links and direct access tab. When you assign permission using the create and share link dialog box, a link is generated to be shared via email, Teams, or directly. This link will then appear under the links tab. Additionally, you have the option to directly add a user or group under the links tab to grant them access by sharing the link. However, if you want to grant access directly to account without sharing a link, you can go to the direct access tab, add them directly to provide access. You might find it useful when you are giving permission to service account or service principal. Now let's dig into each Fabric persona and its corresponding items to understand which items are shareable and which are not. So the first persona we are going to examine is Data Factory, and it got two items, Data Flow Gen 2 and Data Pipeline. None of these items can be shared with other users as there is no sharing option available for them. Now I will switch to Fabric portal, which is app.fabric.microsoft.com. We can select any persona, but I'm going to select Power BI. Once I click on Power BI, we see workspaces. Once I click this option, I can search WS Share Item Workspace. This is the workspace which I proactively created, and it contains all persona items. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to filter these items by workload. So I'll click on workload and select the workload persona data factory. And you can see the data factory persona has two items. None of these items has share option available. Even I click on these three dots, I don't see manage permission option to share these items with other users. Now I will switch back to my slide again and moving on to the next persona, real-time analytics, which includes 6 items. Among these, you can share KQL database, query set, and real-time dashboard by giving item label permissions. However, the event stream and the event house items cannot be shared with other users. But if you have KQLDB added into event house, that specific KQLDB shows as a sub item under event house and it can be shared with other users. When you are sharing these items, the select permissions dialog box prompts you to specify the recipients and also allow you to give additional permissions like share and edit. Now I will switch back to Fabric Portal Workspace and I'll select the workload type real-time analytics. You can see all the items that belongs to real-time analytics persona, except I don't have here real-time dashboard. So if I bring my mouse pointer, I don't see the share option for the event house. Similarly, I don't see the share option for event stream. If I click on three dots, there is no manage permissions option available for event house, and there is no manage permissions option available for event stream also. Now, if I go to KQL database, we can see the share option here. Similarly, we can see share option for query set. And if I bring to the mouse pointer to KQL database that is added into event house, it also got share option available. Now I'll click on one of the KQL database to share this. The moment I click on share option, it prompts me create and send link. I'll select people in your organization can view option and it prompts me select permissions. So you can specify the recipient and you can also give additional permissions. So if I don't select this additional permission, by default, I'm going to give just read permission. But if I select share permission, effectively I'm giving read and reshare permission, while assigning edit permission effectively provide read and write permission to recipient. So I'll select share and I'll click on apply. It asks me to provide username. I'll give Sachit and I'll click on send. So what it is going to do, it is going to create a link and send an email to the user. I'll click on OK. To verify this link, I'll click on three dots. I'll go to manage permissions. It will bring me to the page where we can see links and direct access tabs. Remember I discussed about these in my earlier slides. So under links tab, I can see the link which got created and sent to the user. And you can see Sachit user has permission on this link. And what kind of permissions he got? He got read related all the permissions. On top of he got reshare permissions also. To verify this, I'm going to log in a different browser using Sachit user that I can access that item or not. So you can verify here. I have already logged in using Sachit user and I can click on any persona. So I'm going to click on Power BI. If I go to workspaces, I don't see that workspace where I have given the item label access. And this is the expected behavior because I'm not giving workspace level access. I'm just giving item level access. So the question is, how can I access item? For that, we have to click on OneLake Data Hub. Under that, you can see Explorer, and here is a quick access. I don't see that workspace here because it takes little time for metadata to be updated. So I'll copy this link and open a new tab and paste there, and it will load the KQL database where I have given the permission. So you can see I can access the KQL database. I'll go back to my previous tab and I will do a hard refresh. Let's verify that we can see this workspace. Yes, you can see now I have the access of WS share item workspace. And if I click that, you can see I have access to the KQL database where we have given the permission. Now I'm going to switch back to my slide Now let's explore the data warehouse and the data engineering, the next two personas together, as they share some same similarities in item level permissions. The data warehouse persona consists of two items, while the data engineering persona consists of six items. Among these items, the default semantic model and SQL Analytics endpoint cannot be shared with other users. When you choose to share data warehouse or lakehouse item, it prompts the grant people access dialog box to specify the recipient name or email address and also choose additional permissions. I'll discuss the permissions in more details when I go to Fabric Portal Workspace after the next slide. Now, when you are sharing the notebook, Spark job, and environment item, the select permissions dialog box prompts you to specify the recipient and additional permissions. For notebook item, the three additional permissions are available: share, edit, and run. The Spark job item got only additional permission share, while the environment item got two additional permissions share and edit. Now I will switch back to Fabric Portal Workspace WS Share item. So what I have done proactively here, I duplicated the tab and adjusted side by side, selected the workload type, data warehouse and lakehouse, so that comparison becomes a bit easier. Now open the data warehouse and also open the lakehouse. And we can see in data warehouse, we got just one table, whereas in lakehouse, I got three tables. First two tables are in Delta file format, and the third table is in Parquet file format. Before I give any item level permission to a user called Sachit, let's double verify does he has any permission at data warehouse or lakehouse item level or not. I will switch to a different browser where I have logged in as Sachit user and I can click on any persona. I'm going to click on Power BI, and to verify item level permission, I have to go to OneLake Data Hub, click on there, select the workspace, which is WS Share item. You can see this is the workspace where this data warehouse is sitting. So I'll click on this workspace, and you can see this user got only permission, which is at KQLDB level. Now I will switch to Fabric Portal where I have logged in as admin user, and I'll select workspace here, and I will also go and select the workspace here. Let's click on the share option of data warehouse and also click on the share option of lakehouse and type Sachit user and select and remove all the additional permissions. Now I will also go to my lakehouse and type Sachit user, select the user, and I won't give any additional permission and grant the access. When I'm keying username and not selecting any additional permission for data warehouse and lakehouse, I'm just granting connect permission to Sachit user so that he can connect to data warehouse and lakehouse. To verify this, I will switch back to Fabric Portal again, where I have logged in as a Sachit user, and I will do a hard refresh and select the workspace, and you can see data warehouse items and lakehouse items are visible here now. Let's open the data warehouse, and the Sachit user can see the tables or not. So you can see he can connect to data warehouse. The table is available here, but he cannot see any data because he got only connect permission. Now let's go back to OneLake Hub and select the workspace WS share item, and I will open the Lakehouse. Again, Sachit user can connect to Lakehouse but cannot access tables, files using Lakehouse mode because the permission which we gave, it allows Sachit user to read the data using SQL Analytics endpoint. So let's switch to SQL Analytics endpoint. Now Sachit user can see tables, but he can only see two tables, not three tables. The reason is you can only access Delta file format tables, not Parquet file format tables using SQL Analytics endpoint. Now the question is, can Sachit read the data using SQL Analytics endpoint or not? So let's query the table. No, he cannot read the data because we have just given Lakehouse Connect permission, not querying the data permission. Now switch to Fabric Portal where I logged in as admin user. Earlier we explored share option to give the connect permission to Sachit user. Now let's explore manage permission option. Click on the manage permission option and it brings you direct access data page. Scroll all the way right, click on these three dots, add read data permission. This permission allows to connect data warehouse as well as read data from its object like table, views, store procedure, etc. To speed up things, I'll go with the share option for the Lakehouse. Select the user Sachit and give additional permissions, read all SQL endpoint data, and click on grant. It will allow user to connect the Lakehouse and read tables data using SQL Analytics endpoint. So let's switch to the browser where I logged in as Sachit user. And in the previous steps, what we have seen, I have already given access to my Lakehouse. So I have already connected to the Lakehouse. And if I fire the query now, I should be able to read the data. And you can see I'm able to read the data from Lakehouse. So now if I switch back to the Lakehouse mode, can we see the tables, files from Lakehouse mode or not? Even we have given read data permission. So the answer is no, we still cannot see tables from Lakehouse mode. I'll go back to the OneLake Data Hub and click on the workspace WS share item, and I will open data warehouse. And if I try to query my data warehouse table, can I read the data or not? You can see that I can also read the data from data warehouse table. The read data permission is similar to the DB data read role in SQL Server. Let's again switch back to Fabric portal where I logged in as admin user and give permission to Sachit user to read the data through OneLake APIs or Spark code. Click on the workspace and click on the share option of data warehouse. Now key the username Sachit and give read all permission. It will allow users to read all the data using OneLake, and click on grant. To read the data of data warehouse from OneLake, we also need to give notebook label permission to Sachit user. Let's click on the share option of the notebook. Click on people in your organization can view and select specific people and give additional permission, edit and run, and click on apply and key the username Sachit and send. This allows Sachit user to write and run the Spark code from notebook to read the data of data warehouse from OneLake. Now click on the share option of Lakehouse and key the username Sachit and give permission of read all the data using Apache Spark and click on grant. It will allow to read the data of Lakehouse from OneLake. Now switch back to browser where I logged in as Sachit user. So you can see I have already connected to data warehouse. Let's click on the table and we cannot see the properties. It looks like read all the data using OneLake permission for data warehouse didn't get replicated till now. So let's do a hard refresh. Now let's go to the table, go to DBA schema, click on tables and click on three dots. Now we can see the properties. Click on the properties and we have to copy this ABFS path. Now let's go to OneLake Data Hub, select the workspace. I cannot see the notebook. So what I will do, I'll go back to the portal where I logged in as admin user and click on notebook, click on manage permissions option, and I'll copy this link and go to the browser tab where I logged in as Sachit user, open a new tab, paste the link, and it will open the notebook here. We were not able to see the notebook because the metadata was not updated. So now I'm going to start the session. I'm also going to click on this plus button to add code. So I want to read the data from data warehouse OneLake. For that, I need ABFS path. So I'll go back again and I'll open my data warehouse and click on the table, click on the properties and copy ABFS path. And I'll go back to the notebook and write the Spark code called df equals to data frame equals to spark.read.format, and my table format is delta. So I'll say delta and dot load and open the bracket in single colon, put ABFS path here. Once this session is started, I'm going to run this code to read the data of data warehouse from OneLake. Now we can see the session has started. Let's run the Spark code to read the data of data warehouse from OneLake. So we encounter the error because we see the ABFS path is showing some GUID ID number. So what I'll do, I'll switch back to Fabric portal where I logged in as admin user, click on workspace, open the data warehouse, click on the properties of the table, copy the ABFS path because it shows the workspace name instead of what we are seeing here, the GUID ID. So I'll copy this path and go back to notebook. I will replace this path with correct path and I will run the code again. Okay, let me write another code to display this data. So I'll say display df and it should show me the same result what we are seeing here. Yeah, we can see the same result what we are seeing here. So the read all data using OneLake permission allowed to read the data using data warehouse OneLake ABS path from notebook. So let's connect Lakehouse to this notebook. Click on Lakehouses, click on add option, and I'm going to select existing Lakehouse, click on add, and this is my Lakehouse name, and click on add. So it is going to stop the current session. So click on stop now. Again, Sachit user can connect to Lakehouse but cannot see tables files from Lakehouse mode. In that case, let's go to OneLake Data Hub, click on the workspace WS share item and open the Lakehouse using SQL Analytics endpoint. Let's click on the three dots and open the properties of table and copy the ABFS path. Go back to the notebook and open a new command and type data frame equals to spark.read.format and file format is delta.load and give ABFS path. So let's run this code. Again, this code is also going to fail because it has some GUID ID number instead of the workspace name. So again, I will switch back to the portal where I logged in as admin user and open the Lakehouse and open the table property. Go to properties and copy the ABFS path. And I will switch back to Sachit user where I have logged in. Click on this notebook and replace this ABFS path with the one which I copied just now and cancel this cell and run it again. Let's display the data. Type the code display df and let's run the code. So we can see that Sachit user can read the data from OneLake using ABFS path of Lakehouse. Let's go back to the OneLake Data Hub